Hello, welcome to my channel, Live Create Art. I decided to make this video about Buddhism and how it's changed my life because it really has changed my life and the way I see things. Well, it's less about Buddhism and more about meditation. So it's really more about how meditation changed my life, but I found meditation through Buddhism because one day, 10 years ago or so, after I graduated college, I kind of didn't know what I wanted to do. I was at the library just like walking through the aisles and I just stumbled upon the religious section, which had books on Buddhism, and I just happened to pick up the book and I saw like the first sentence of the book was something like, life is suffering. And I remember I just like wanted to put it down because I was looking for something uplifting, and that was definitely not uplifting at all. But something made me check out the book and take it home and read it. And at first, like my mind kind of rebelled against it because it wasn't like the kind of thing that was just telling you what you want to hear. It was kind of telling you like how tough life is and reality and all that. And it's much easier to escape and just pretend that it's not like that. But yes, somehow I made it through the book, and then I just became addicted to reading about it. And the more I read about it, the more I wanted to incorporate it into my life. And then yeah, and I feel like it did help me a lot, and that's what I'm gonna go over in this video. So there's like 5 things that I think really changed in my life. And I'm not going to get into too much what meditation is because I'm definitely not an expert, and I think everybody can kind of do it in their own way. And also, there's a lot of information out there on how to meditate and how to do it the right way or whatever. So I'm just going to say that to me, meditation is you sit in a quiet room by yourself. You can have the lights on or dim or whatever. You can close your eyes or keep them open, and you just sit. Like you can do it laying down, you can do it walking around, you could do it sitting, just on a chair, but you keep your back straight and you just breathe and just focus on your breathing and try to not get caught up in all the thoughts that inevitably come up in your mind. You kind of just like notice them, and this is how you get to understand your own mind and what's going on inside your mind, which shockingly enough, a lot of people aren't really aware of what's going on inside their mind. Even though our mind is our constant companion, we kind of just get caught up in all the thoughts, and sometimes we just have knee-jerk reactions, and this by no means stops because you could be doing it for a life. It takes a lifetime, I guess, or a lot of lifetimes. I have no idea. All I know is that it's extremely beneficial, and I think everybody can benefit from it, and it has nothing to do with religion or like anything really, like culture or religion or anything. I mean, you can be Buddhist and do it, you can be Christian, you can be Jewish, it can just help you so much and make your life a little bit easier and a little bit like less problems. So the first thing that I noticed that was a direct result of meditating just whenever I got a chance, or just sitting down in the morning and at night for 10 minutes at a time, was an increase in awareness of just what's going on around me. It seems like such a small thing, but a lot of people lack awareness about what's going on in their own lives or around them or in their own minds. And if you don't have awareness, how can you make the best decisions for yourself? It's just such a essential thing to have, and it's a skill just like anything else. I mean, they should teach this from day one to kids. Don't get caught up too much in emotions, and don't just knee jerk like impulsive do things. Like, don't make that comment if it's not necessary. Don't be rude to this person if it's not necessary, which it most of the time isn't, and it's not going to make you feel better. So awareness changed my life in many ways because, number one, it made me more aware of the path I was taking in my own life and how I didn't really choose it. I kind of just fell into it. Like when I went to school for accounting. I had zero interest in it. And it was just something to do, something I could work towards because I didn't really know what I wanted. I mean, when I was younger and in high school, I had so much time to think about what I really wanted, and I didn't. And that's a consequence that I'll have to live with for a really long time. But if I had awareness at an early age, I would have thought more. I would have known that there's things I could have done to work up to doing something that I would have enjoyed much more than going to school for accounting. And luckily my parents paid for my degree, but I still, it was kind of a waste. I could have that that money could have gone to something more useful, I think. But hindsight's 2020, so again, I still ended up pretty good for the decisions I made. It's just at that point I realized that I was no longer going to just do things because society says that I should do them. And that plays a really important role, like with, marriage, having kids. Like, I realized that I don't want to rush into being married. I realized that I really don't want to have kids ever. And I'm so glad I realized that because if I didn't have that awareness, I might have just rushed into a relationship just because I felt like that's what I should do. And I might have had kids, without really thinking about whether it was what I really wanted. And then once that happens, it's like you don't really have much of a choice with what you can do with that. So that's a couple things that right off the bat, it really helped me. And this is like the most important thing. It made me realize that my passion is art and also music. And that's something that as a little kid I always loved. I loved art, I loved drawing, and I loved music. I used to sing like all the time, and like I never got much feedback on that because my family didn't value those things. My family wasn't artists, wasn't musicians. They wanted me to go for accounting or a lawyer or be a doctor or something serious, something that is taken seriously and is well paid. My parents growing up, they didn't have a lot of money. So they wanted to give me that. But again, so I lost that desire to create art in middle school and high school. It kind of just like slipped away and I forgot about it for a few years. And then back in my 20s, when after all this meditation and stuff and just trying to figure out what I wanted, it came back to me and I realized that I may not ever make money doing the things that I absolutely love to do, but that doesn't mean that they're not worth doing, and they became a much more important part of my life than they had been before. Instead of watching TV, I would practice my painting or I would try a new medium like colored pencil. And then like later on, instead of going out to the bar and hanging out with people that are drinking, when I really don't like drinking that much, um, I would, stay home and play the piano and become like the best I could possibly be. That was my goal. So, and that continued on for up until now. A year and a half ago, I started taking voice lessons, and I'd always loved singing, but I didn't realize I had a talent for singing. I mean, it was with me all along, and don't get me wrong, like I've had to work really hard to improve, because just because you have a musical talent doesn't mean you're gonna get up there on stage and be good. But again, like that's another reason why I started taking voice lessons. Like I didn't even, it didn't occur to me before. So that's awareness right there. And I think that's all the stuff I've said is pretty compelling. It's a pretty compelling reason to try to be more aware. The second thing that meditation has helped me with is motivation, which I think also stems from awareness. Because if you're aware of what you want, you suddenly feel motivated to do things, and you're aware of other people who are doing the same things, and then other people kind of motivate you to do what you want to do, because you kind of feed off of each other. And that's definitely applies to my teacher, my voice teacher. He is like motivated me so much, and he just he just makes me feel like, yes, you can do this. And sometimes you need that, sometimes just knowing you can do it or knowing that you have the talent to do it isn't really enough to actually get something done and to really stay focused and motivated to do it. Sometimes you need that from other people, and you need to be around people who are similar to you and have the same goals. Because if I'm an artist and I'm around nothing but computer engineers, it's that flame is just gonna like die. It's just gonna burn out because they don't get why I do what I do, and I don't get why they do what they do. So yeah, it can apply to pretty much anything. The third thing is it helps you become happier because when you know what you want, you're more likely to do what's right for yourself, and you're more likely to be in harmony with your surroundings. And that's to me and you're more likely to be content. So I'm not talking about like the explosive, like kind of happiness that's like, it just lasts for a while and then it goes away, and then you get it again at some point to doing something. That's not what I'm talking about. I mean happiness as in contentment. And I think contentment is when you rely less on like emotional high or drugs or whatever, anything that can become addicting. Like some people spend a lot of time doing stuff like shopping or whatever. I mean, whatever you like it could be eating, smoking, drinking. Some people confuse that feeling with happiness. That's not really, I mean, it can make you can enjoy doing it and that's fine. But at the end of the day, like if you have to just keep doing it to feel a certain way, then that's not really contentment. That's something else. Contentment is when you feel like you look at your life and you're like, you know what? I'm doing okay. I'm an okay person. I'm okay with who I am and with everything I have and the way my life is. And more importantly, I'm okay with how I am internally, which is really what counts when it comes to meditation. Like the mind can be a really chaotic place and you can get caught up in negative thoughts very easily. I think it's much more easy to notice negative things than positive, and that sucks, but being happy and content takes a lot of work and effort. The fourth thing, meditation greatly benefits your health because it reduces stress. Because when you're used to looking at what's going on inside your mind and something stressful happens, you stop for a second and you're like, okay, I'm going to take some deep breaths. I'm not going to just respond to this. I'm going to walk away and think about it before I say something. And, maybe it's not as bad as it seems at first. Very often, like, it's easy to overreact about things and imagine the worst case scenario, but I think things aren't ever as bad or as good as you make them out to be in your mind. Like even when you're like, let's say you're planning this fabulous vacation to Hawaii, which I've been to and it's very beautiful, but the way it was built up in my mind, it wasn't that good. It was amazing. I loved it and I would love to go again, but it was like my state of mind came with me. The first day we were there, we had an argument. My family, we all had an argument because we were like stressed out from traveling. So it's not really your surroundings. It's really what's inside that counts. It's such a cliche, but I mean it's true. It's true. That's why it's a cliche. And it also with meditation and stuff, it helps you kind of think before you eat something. And if I'm overdoing like a snack that I like, for example, Nutella, I kind of sometimes I'll just eat it out of the jar because it's really good, but I'll only have like 1 or 2 tablespoons or teaspoons or maybe 3 sometimes. But then I'll notice like I'll want to take another spoonful, but I'm already feeling full, and it's like, why am I trying to squeeze in another tablespoon or teaspoon of this when I'm not even like really consciously enjoying it anymore. So it stops that from happening. And then when I don't want to exercise, I'm like, oh, I worked the whole day, why should I exercise? This is my free time. It makes me stop and think like, okay, yeah, I did work the whole day, but I was sitting on my ass staring at a computer. Maybe it would be beneficial for me to go outside and go for a walk or do some of the yard work that's never ending when you have a house or vacuum or whatever. Like it kind of just it makes you think twice about your actions. And that directly benefits your health. And again, it makes me not want to really drink alcohol. I mean, I've never been much of a drinker to begin with or smoker, but it makes me aware of what I'm putting into my body. And of course, that's going to directly benefit my health. I eat much healthier. I don't eat as much. I think before I just like shove something in my mouth. I eat slow. I mean, I've always been a slow eater, but I eat even slower than I used to. And when you eat slower, you feel full, and then your mind tells you just realize that, oh, I'm full. I don't need to like eat so much. Okay, and then the fifth thing is you really get a better idea of who you are. Um, and then again, this all of this stuff really stems from awareness. So I guess the main thing is really awareness that you get out of meditation. But you get to see like who you really are, like this moment, and you can tell that it changes. I'm not the same person I was a year ago, or 2 years ago, or 10 years ago, 20 years ago. I'm not going to be the same person I am now in 20 years or 5 years even. And from moment to moment, like there's one moment I can feel so strongly about something, and then the next moment, it's those feelings are just, they're gone. And I'm like, why did I feel so angry like about this one particular thing? Or why was I so upset, because someone said that? And it's just you realize like just how things just change. Things change from moment to moment, day to day, year to year, and it may never be easy, but being aware that that's just the nature of life, it may make things a little easier. Um, So that was my video, and I hope I helped people and motivated people to try meditation or mindfulness. Mindfulness is another word for awareness, kind of paying attention, because I do believe that it can make the world a better place, and just simply being aware of your surroundings and just the consequences of your actions. It's just it can only help you. It can't hurt you, because the most dangerous thing I think is a lack of awareness. When you just blindly lash out and just say things or do things and without rhyme or reason, that causes a lot of problems, and it's not necessary. I mean, we've all said and done things that were not the nicest things we could have said or done, or we could have just said nothing. Um, we've all, I'm sure, done things that we maybe regret doing or weren't really, the most reasonable, rational, moral things we could have done. And at the end of the day, like doing things with the intention of hurting people doesn't really benefit you. It may make you feel good for a second, like, oh, I got that person back, or revenge, sometimes feels like good. But after it's over, you still go back to being who you are, and now you're someone who did that. So make sure it's something you can live with. And yeah, and that's another thing that meditation gives you. It's just you see what your intentions are when you do something. Like you can finally get a glimpse of what really motivates you. And this isn't something that's always obvious. It's something that sometimes takes effort. You know, you can't just, you may not even know why you're doing something. You know, if without awareness, you know, how can you tell why you're doing something if you're not aware? So that's another benefit right there. And intentions, you know, leads to what you doing something, and you doing something leads to consequences. So sometimes people wonder why their lives are a certain way and, you know, how it got there. And sometimes, not always, but sometimes you can trace back like how things happened and why. And I think that that's a very useful thing to be able to do, because when you understand why your life is the way that it is now, you can do things in the future to change that or to make it better. And so, you know, find something that you like more or keep what you have. So thank you for watching my video. I hope it was useful and helpful. I hope you feel inspired to try meditation. And here's a few books that I'm going to recommend that I really liked and that kind of helped me kind of get the motivation to meditate, and to just find out more about it. I'm going to link them in the description box, but it's just a few. One of them I don't have here, it's in my car, but it's called The 7 Keys to Calm. That it's such a good book, and it's well written, and it's inspiring. It makes you want to like put the things into practice. So that's one book. And then the rest of these are, there's this one called The Power of Now. It's really good, and it's pretty interesting to read. It's a little different than what I was used to, but I really liked it, and it was really inspiring. And then this one, it's called Invisible Eyelashes. I actually found this at a book sale, and it just, like, for some reason it stood out, and I just grabbed it, and I'm like, oh my god, this is cool, I'm just gonna buy it. And this is the book, Invisible Eyelashes, Seeing What's Closest to Us. And then there's Zen and the Art of Happiness. This is another book I really, really, really liked. And one person that I really like to read is Osho. He's just like, it's just, I agree with just his philosophy. It's just so logical and makes sense. So any of his books, this one is Living on Your Own Terms, What is Real Rebellion? I am quite a rebel. This one is by Osho also. It's called Creativity, which of course is important to me as an artist. This one's pretty useful for dealing with things that come up at work. Yeah, you know, work's one of those things that, yeah, you just have to do. And actually, it's a good opportunity for meditation, but it's hard sometimes. This one's Everyday Osho, and I like this because it's something for every day. Like, you know, it's 365 daily meditations for the here and now. You can see it. And then this one's also Osho. It's called Awareness. This is one of my favorites. The Key to Living in Balance. And yeah, balance is really important. And then this one is called The Buddhist Path to Simplicity. So these are all the books I have. And then again, that other one, The 7 Keys to Calm, which I really liked. I will link them in the description box. So I hope you liked this video, and I hope it was helpful. Thank you for watching. Goodbye. Have a nice day.